I used to think that the next purchase would fix something in me. A better phone, better clothes, better gear, a better version of what I already had. And every time I got the same result. A short hit of excitement, then straight back to the feeling like what I had still wasn't enough. I wasted money, I wasted time, and worse, I wasted mental energy constantly thinking about what to buy next. But then I came across a Stoic idea that changed how I see everything. Some things are in our control, and some things are not. And the more I tied my peace to possessions, the less free I became. In this video, I want to show you why minimalism is not about deprivation. It's about freedom. Freedom from clutter, freedom from comparison, and freedom from the endless need for more. There was a point in my life where I was always chasing the next thing. I thought I was being smart. I thought I was improving my life. I thought I was buying things I genuinely needed. But when I look back, a lot of what I bought had one thing in common. I used it once, maybe twice, then it sat there. Some of it was expensive, some of it was not. But that almost makes no difference, because the real cost wasn't just money, it was attention. It was hours of research, comparing versions, watching reviews, reading forums, trying to make the perfect choice. And all of that mental energy was being poured into things that in the end barely mattered. That's the trap. You think you're buying an item, but often you're buying a hope. The hope that this thing will make life easier, or make you feel complete, or make you feel like you're finally getting it right. But as Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. That line hit me hard, because the problem was never just the stuff, the problem was the meaning I gave it. I treated possessions like they would give me peace, like they could make me enough, like the newer version meant a better life. But that way of thinking creates constant internal friction. You start feeling that what you have is outdated, not good enough, behind, inferior, even when there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But this is where consumer culture really gets you. It doesn't just sell you products, it sells you dissatisfaction. It teaches you to look at what still works and feel disappointed by it. A used car that runs well is suddenly not enough because someone else has a newer one. A perfectly good phone feels old because a new model came out. A jacket stops being nice because it's not this year's version. But none of that changes the actual function of the thing. It still does the job. That's the contradiction most people never stop to question. Old used items often do the exact same job as the latest expensive purchase. But we don't buy based on function alone. We buy based on emotion, status, image, comparison. And the result is predictable. You spend more money trying to feel better, then you feel worse because you have less money. You chase convenience and comfort, but end up more mentally cluttered than before. And for a lot of people, this becomes a cycle. Work hard, spend hard, feel empty, repeat. And I think that's why so many people feel trapped. Not because they're lazy, not because they're stupid, but because they've been taught to seek happiness in the wrong place. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." That is the opposite of what modern life tells us. Modern life says You need more. You need better. You need newer. You need to keep up. Stoicism says, slow down. Look again. Ask what is actually necessary. That shift changed a lot for me, and I didn't fully understand until I moved out of my house and into a van. Because when you move into a small space, reality becomes very clear, very fast. You see exactly how much stuff you've accumulated. You see how much of it mattered, and you see how much of it didn't. What shocked me wasn't just how much I owned, it was how much time it took to get rid of it all. That's another hidden cost people don't think about. Everything you own must be stored, cleaned, moved, organised, maintained, repaired, and eventually thrown away or sold. Possessions do not just sit there quietly. They make demands. And when you have too many of them, life starts to feel heavier than it should. That was one of the biggest realizations for me. I always thought owning more would make me feel more secure. In reality, owning less made me feel lighter, less stressed, less distracted, less weighed down, and more free. Free financially, because I stopped pouring money into things I didn't need. Free mentally, because I stopped obsessing over what to buy next. And free physically, because I wasn't dragging around a life full of things I barely used. That's when minimalism stopped being an idea and became a way of life. Now when I buy something, I think twice, do I actually need this? And most of the time, the answer is no. Not because I'm forcing myself to live with nothing. Not because I think possessions are evil. Not because I've learned that every purchase has a cost beyond the price tag. And if I'm not careful, I'm not just spending money, I'm spending peace, I'm spending time, I'm spending attention. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." That to me is what this is really about. Minimalism is not just about decluttering your house, it's about decluttering your life, your desires, your impulses, your need to keep up, your habit of confusing ownership with happiness, because time is worth more than stuff. And in a moment, I want to get into the deeper Stoic idea that changed this for me completely. Why the more value you assign to externals, the more they begin to control you. That is where minimalism stops being a lifestyle choice and becomes freedom. There's a Stoic idea that completely flipped how I see possessions, and it's simple. The more value you assign to things outside of your control, the less control you have over your life. Think about it. If your happiness depends on what you own, then every upgrade, every loss, every comparison affects you. If your peace depends on having the best version, you'll never feel at peace, because there is always a better version, a better car, a better house, a better phone, a better life, at least from the outside. Seneca said it perfectly. No one is satisfied with his lot. Each man prefers that of another. That's the game. And it's a game you cannot win. Because even if you win, someone else still has more. And the moment you look up again, what you have feels smaller. That is why minimalism is not really about removing things. It's about removing dependence. Because when you stop needing things to feel complete, you become harder to disturb. That's freedom. And this is where the Stoics were very clear. Epictetus taught that some things are in our control and some things are not. Your possessions, not fully in your control. They can break, be stolen, become outdated. Your status, not in your control. Someone can always surpass you. But your judgment, your desires, your perspective, those are yours. And if you place your value there instead of in externals, you become stable. That's the shift. Because the real problem was never that I owned things, it was that I needed them. I needed them to feel like I was doing well, needed them to feel like I was progressing, needed them to feel like I wasn't falling behind. But once you see that clearly, something changes. You start questioning things. Do I actually want this? Or do I just want the feeling I think it will give me? Do I need the latest version? Or is the one I already have doing exactly what I need? Am I buying this for a function or for identity? And this is where a lot of people get stuck, because consumerism doesn't just sell products, it sells identity. It tells you, this is who you are if you own this. But Stoicism strips that away. It reminds you that who you are has nothing to do with what you own. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events." That includes everything external. But when you really understand that, you stop chasing things that were never meant to satisfy you. You stop trying to fix internal problems with external solutions, because it never works. You can't buy peace. You can't buy enough. You can't buy freedom. But you can remove the things that were taking those away. And that's what minimalism really is. Not adding more, subtracting what doesn't matter. Epictetus put it simply, if you want to be happy, do not add to your possessions, but subtract from your desires. That line changed how I make decisions. Because now the question is not, what should I buy next? It's what can I let go of? What can I remove that is taking up space in my life? What can I stop wanting that doesn't actually matter? Because every unnecessary desire creates friction. You have to earn more to afford it. You have to think about it, maintain it, protect it. And the more desires you have, the more complicated your life becomes. But when you reduce them, life becomes simpler, lighter, clearer, and something interesting happens. You start noticing things you didn't before. You have more time, more attention, more presence, because your mind is no longer constantly pulled towards the next thing. And this is the part people don't expect. Minimalism doesn't just give you space in your home, it gives you space in your mind. It removes noise. It removes pressure. It removes the constant feeling that you should be somewhere else or have something else. And in that space, you start to actually enjoy life. Not the idea of life, not the upgraded version of life, but the one you already have. And this ties back to something I didn't understand for a long time. Time is far more valuable than things. You can always make more money, but you cannot get your time back. And yet we trade our time constantly for things we don't even need. We work hours, days, weeks, for items that end up sitting unused. That trade doesn't make sense, but we don't question it because it's normal. Everyone is doing it, but normal doesn't mean right. and the Stoics understood that better than anyone. Seneca said, "Life is long enough if the whole of it is well invested." That's the real question. What are you investing your life into? More stuff or more freedom? Because in the end, minimalism is not about having less for the sake of it. It's about making space for what actually matters. Your time, your peace of mind, your ability to move freely through life without being weighed down. And once you experience that, it's very hard to go back.